I work actively to assist foreigners to invest in Taiwan. So today I would like to introduce you to how to start up in Taiwan in the approval and registration perspectives. So in this class, I will just give you a simple idea of how to start up business in Taiwan and maybe to register a company in Taiwan. Okay, so first, when you would like to set up in Taiwan, then you have to first decide which structure that you would like to choose. If you would like to use foreign individual to invest in Taiwan, then you can consider to set up a Taiwan company directly or indirectly through a investment holding company. And if you would like to use a foreign company to set up a company in Taiwan, then you can consider to register a Taiwan company or a Taiwan branch office. So in the, yes?
Sorry to interrupt in the beginning. Would you be getting these slides later or do you do these?
Ready before now. Huh? Ready before可以考虑啊。Yeah, sure. Yes, we can. Maybe we can share this.
Sorry, what about the slide from our?
Yeah, also. And the class is recorded, and after the recording and processing is done, we'll send the links to you guys for you and your team members.
Okay. So to register a company in Taiwan, you have to consider the structure that you would like to choose, and because the structure that you choose will lead the tax issues that may trigger. So the structure that you have to consider what the operation that you would like to engage in Taiwan and what structure you would like to use, so maybe you can lower the tax issues in the future.
So you put the people there, that means the headquarters or headquarters?
No.
And that's not the word.
No, the person means that it can be an individual, foreign individual or a foreign company.
Okay. It can be a foreign company.
Yeah. So maybe here, if you would like to use individual to set up a company in Taiwan, you can choose to directly to set up in Taiwan. So the foreign individual will directly hold the Taiwan companies. If you would like to indirectly to invest in Taiwan through a holding company, it is also okay. And if you use a company to invest in Taiwan, you can choose to set up a Taiwan company or a Taiwan branch office. Which means that if you would like to choose Taiwan branch office, the owner should be a company, not an individual. So individual can only set up a Taiwan company. Yes.
That investment holding company has to be registered there as well, or to be foreign company.
You mean the foreign investor?
Yeah,
Investment holding company? It can be a foreign investment company. So it do not need to be definitely a Taiwan company.
So, for example, I am from a company called Shia, which is based in India. So, the investment holding company is you're saying that I, through Shia, can establish a Taiwan company or a branch.
Yes, correct.
Instead of me as an individual having shares in the Taiwan company in the first place.
Yeah, because you will be the shareholders of the Indian company, then you can through the Indian company to set up a Taiwan branch or Taiwan company in Taiwan.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But what are advantages, pros and cons?
We can. I have a comparative table after this one, so you will know the differences between a Taiwan company and a Taiwan branch office.
So if we want to set up a branch office, we have to have the investment holding?
It cannot. It can be a company, foreign company, or a holding company, which means that the company is only common as pure holding. Yeah, but it can only be a physical company that owns other business. So it not need to be a 100% holding company.
Could you explain more about I didn't understand. I couldn't understand that. Can you say that again?
You mean between a Taiwan company and a Taiwan branch office?
Holding company.
Holding
Holding
company.
company. Invest holding company means that it is a company that only covers pure holding. So it only holds investments, reinvestment, but they do not cover other business. They just invest. So which we call investment holding company. But just like I say, it is not need to be an invest holding company. If it is just other foreign company, it also can set up a Taiwan branch office in Taiwan. Any companies, yes. So maybe it is a computer company in India. It can always, it also can set up a Taiwan branch office or a Taiwan company in Taiwan. Not need to be a holding company. Yeah. Any other questions? So I will go to the next slide. I just list the types of entities that are regulated by Taiwan Company Act. The first one is sole proprietorship, and the second one is general partnership, which we also call limited partnership company. And the third one is corporation. So it's the common one we see in Taiwan. And for item 3, if there is also a limited company and a company limited by shares. The two types of companies, the big difference between the limited company and the company limited by shares is whether the company issues shares or not. If it issues shares, then it is a company limited by shares. But if it not issue shares, then it is a limited company. So the two types of company are also called corporation. And the first one is branch office, like we say, the Taiwan branch office under a foreign company. So the owner owns the branch office, the foreign head office. And the fifth one is representative office. This is a special one because one Taiwan representative office cannot commence any business in Taiwan. So it's just like a contact window between the foreign head office and their clients in Taiwan. It just be a contact window, or the foreign head office wants to set up a Taiwan business office in Taiwan to research the markets of Taiwan and to see if they can have business or markets in Taiwan. And if they think Taiwan is a market they would like to invest in, then they will change their representative office to a corporation or branch office. Yes.
In case if it is a branch office, and if you are raising funding in Taiwan, then branch office cannot issue shares.
Yes, Taiwan branch not
So
share.
the investment would go into the parent company.
Yes. Their return earnings will go directly into their foreign head office. So branch office will not issue any shares to the
And just for understanding the distinction between the two corporation types you mentioned, one you said in the corporation type you said two.
Yes, limited company and company limited by shares. So the big difference between the two types of companies is if the company issues shares or not.
The limited by shares is the one that can issue shares.
Yes. Okay. So can we go into the next one? Okay, so now that's the comparison between a branch office and a subsidiary that we just called corporation. And in this table, we just put company limited by shares to compare because it's the most common one that the foreign investor use in Taiwan. So the first one is the number of shareholders and owners. For a Taiwan company limited by shares, the regulations requires at least 2 individual shareholders or 1 corporate shareholder. So if the Taiwan company is owned 100% by a 1 corporate shareholder, we will say it is a company owned by a sole shareholder. And the other one is branch office. So there is no shareholder because it just belongs to their foreign head office. And the second one is regulatory responsible person. For a Taiwan company, limited by shares, one director and one supervisor is required. But if you are a company owned by a sole shareholder, then only one director is required. No supervisor is needed. And there are no restrictions on their nationalities, or they cannot need to live in Taiwan. But just be reminded, they cannot be the people who hold China passport. Only if the Taiwan company is invested directly or indirectly by a China companies, or the director or supervisor cannot be Chinese people. And for branch office, one representative and one branch manager is required. The representative means that the responsible person in Taiwan. And the branch manager means that the manager who is responsible for the business operation of the Taiwan branch office. So who is responsible for the daily operation.
In that case, you say no restrictions on nationality or residency. Does that mean that the representative and the branch manager need not be residing in Taiwan?
No need to. They can be outside Taiwan. Okay, and the third one is capital requirement. According to Taiwan Company Act, there are no capital requirements, but you can see we said yes here. It means that because if the company runs the business requires special licenses, then there may be capital requirements. It depends on what special business that might be common. And if the company would like to hire foreigners, there are also capital requirements under different situations. So that's why we put yes here in this slide. And we also want to remind you that even there is no capital requirements under the Taiwan regulations of the Taiwan Company Act, we also suggest that when you decide the initial capital that you would like to put in Taiwan, you have to consider that the capital, the funds you need in the future 1 or 2 years. Because for a foreign company, for a Taiwan company owned by foreigners, there are approvals that you would like that you need to apply with the government, and it will take time. So I suggest that you can, or in general, in practice, I always suggest that the client can consider the capital funds that you will need in the future 1 or 2 years, and you can set up the incorporation capital requirement. That will be easier for you after the purchase of the top company. Okay, and then the fourth one is withholding taxes on dividends or the profit remittance. You can see here for a Taiwan company, if the company would like to distribute the dividends to non-resident corporate or individual shareholders, that will be subject to withholding tax at a rate of 21%. But if you set up a Taiwan branch office, there is no withholding tax. So that's the most important difference between the Taiwan company and the branch office in tax perspective.
What is the tax structure for the profit in the branch or the company? What is the tax level?
Tax level, corporate tax. Corporate tax in Taiwan is 20%. Corporate income tax rate.
Same for the branch office.
Yeah, it's also 20%.
And for the capital requirement, you had mentioned that there are certain special businesses in which if you are, then there might be different
capital
requirements. Could you give an example of?
For example, insurance company, they will have a very high capital requirement. Or for a building company, construction company, or the bank, that will be a higher capital requirement.
So when you say about capital requirement, how much are we talking about? Is that a set number?
According to Taiwan Company Act, there is no capital requirements. But if you run some special business subject to licenses, that may be capital requirement. For example, if you would like to set a bank in Taiwan, the capital may be required billions of Taiwan dollars, for example. Okay. And the fifth one is the office letters. In Taiwan, if you want to register a Taiwan company, an office is required. So a physical address is required. So in practice, sometimes foreigners to in the initial step set up for foreigners, they are just wondering if they have to register an office or not, because maybe it will be a cost for them. Because sometimes after the initial setup process, there are not much people of a company. So in this situation, we will suggest them that they can find a business center to register their address, so you can share an office space with them with lower costs. So it is also feasible in Taiwan for registration purposes. Okay, and the sixth one is the undistributed retained earnings. For a Taiwan company, if there are retained earnings that are not distributed to their shareholders, then the undistributed earnings will be subject to the corporate tax at a rate of 5%, but it will be not for branch office.
This 5% is over and above the 20%.
What?
It will be over and above the 20% tax that the corporation
pays. That they are different. So it will be 20% of corporate income tax plus 5% undistributed tax.
But if the money is distributed, then there will be a 21% tax.
Yes. So if you distribute all the earnings to their shareholders, then there will be no undistributed tax.
Right. But for distributing the dividends to shareholders,
there will be 21%. But that is on the personal, not on the company level. And for the second one is the legal responsibility. For a Taiwan company, the responsibility is limited to the shareholders' capital contribution. But for branch office, the headquarters will bear unlimited joint and several liabilities for its branch office. So sometimes from legal perspective, the partner will prefer to set a Taiwan company instead of a Taiwan branch office. Because Taiwan company is an independent legal entity, but not for a Taiwan branch office. So the foreign habits will have to bear all the liabilities for the Taiwan branch office. So if the foreign head office would like to cut the responsibilities between their Taiwan entity and the foreign head office, they will prefer to choose Taiwan company instead of a Taiwan branch office. Even on the tax perspective, Taiwan branch will be favorable. So that's the major differences between the Taiwan company and the Taiwan branch office. So are there any questions?
How to start?
How to start? Okay, so that's the difference between the Taiwan company and the branch office. So next one, we will discuss about how to establish the company in Taiwan. It is a roadmap of starting a business or a schedule for setting up a Taiwan company in Taiwan. So here, we will have to apply a company name pre-approval with the Taiwan authority to make sure what the company that you would like to register and your proposed company if they are already registered by other companies, then you have to think about other company names. So the first one we will have to register a company name first to see if the company you would like to register can use or cannot be used. So once the company name is decided, then you can go to the bank to open a bank account of the preparatory office. When a company hasn't been set up, we will call it as the preparatory office. Okay. So in this level, it is still a bank account of a preparatory office account instead of a company account. It can only be transferred to an official bank account when the company is set up. Okay, and this one, just like I said previously, for a foreigner who would like to register or invest in Taiwan, the foreigner has to apply approval with Invest Commission. ICMOEA here means is the abbreviation of Investment Commission of Ministry of Economy Affairs. So the foreigner has to apply a pre-approval of the investment in Taiwan. Once the approval is obtained, the foreigner can further remit the capital. If the pre-approval is not obtained, they cannot remit any capital in Taiwan, so the company will not be set up. And just for your information, I think you know our special relationship between Taiwan and China. So we have different regulations for the investors from China and from other companies out of China. They have different regulations. So in this level, the Invest Commission will review the corporate documents, including the register of directors and the register of members, up to the foreigners' ultimate beneficial owners, to make sure there are no Chinese people behind the foreigners. So we will check the shareholders level and also the directors level. If there are more than 30% of the foreigner shareholders are coming from China, even this foreign company is registered in Poland or in India, it also be treated as a China company. Then it will go to the regulation for Chinese people, not for foreign investors.
How does it go? Like, if there is one venture fund, and then in this fund there are other big companies which are also they also have their own investors. How deep do they go? And to which level? Like,
we have to review each level.
Sorry?
We have to review each level. For example, there are no whiteboard. We have to, okay, for example, if there are company A, company B, company C, and then Taiwan company, we will have to review all the corporate members of company A, B, C until the ultimate beneficial owners to make sure there are no, or there are lower 30% of the investors coming from China.
lower than
30%.
30?
30.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, one each level, the shareholders are more than 30% coming from China, then the company will be treated as a China company. It will be not treated as a foreign company. So the main review check will review the members of shareholders and the members of directors to see if they will be treated as a Chinese company. Okay, so that's the pre-approval from the investment commission. Once the approval is obtained, then the foreigner can remit the capital. Once the capital is injected, then the CPA will need to audit the injected capital. And we also have to report to the investment commission to tell them, hey, the foreigner has remitted all the approved capital into Taiwan, so we have to do capital verification. And then we will send all the documents to the company registration authority for the Taiwan company setup. Once the Taiwan company is set up, then we will go to tax authority for tax or business registration. And if the Taiwan company also commits foreign trade business, we will help them to Bureau of Foreign Trade for exporter and importer registration. So that's a roadmap of starting a business in Taiwan. And the whole approval and registration process will take about 1 to 1.5 months. But because now it's in COVID-19, so maybe there are some restrictions for foreigners coming to Taiwan. So this may be extended to 2 to 2.5 months. Because for the open bank account, some bank will need to see the responsible person of the Taiwan company visiting in Taiwan to sign the documents from the bank, and that will take time. So it's the main reason that why the procedures will take longer time.
And what is the cost associated behind this process?
In cost, it based on the shareholders, the number of the shareholders, and the business of the Taiwan company will come in. Because if there are some, because the Taiwan company will run the business licenses, then we will also count it into our service scope and add our service.
If we leave out the exceptional
So in
cases,
general,
then
so in general, for a Taiwan company or a Taiwan firm, our service fee will range from 4,000 to 6,000 US dollars. But it is on the assumption that there are no special license should be applied for. And the invest structure is very simple.
Is that the service fee or the official filing?
It's our service fee. Because for the borrowing fee, it depends on your capital to be set in Taiwan.
And for the lowest capital?
The lowest borrowing fee is $1,000. It is counted to each $4,000 capital will need to pay $1 borrowing fee. But the lowest borrowing fee is $1,000.
What is the lowest shareholding capital?
Lowest shareholding capital?
Yeah, set up a company.
There is no capital requirement. Unless you need to hire foreign employees or you run special business.
Okay.
Yes.
Charge from the industry different for setting up a subsidiary or
Yeah, the same. But because it's the service that I provided just now is only based on the assumption that it's a general company.
Right.
But if the investment on the foreigners is very complicated, or the business that needs to help them to apply for other special licenses, then our cost will be higher.
Hiring of foreign employees does it also include, say, someone with a residence permit or?
We also provide this kind of service to apply for work permit or apply for ARC. Yeah,
would that be considered as someone as hiring a foreign employee because then it would attract additional charges, right? So if we have a foreign employee in the company, then for having foreign employee in the company, the charges would be more. Right?
The capital will be more. Yes.
Capital requirement
will be more. There will be minimum capital requirement if the company would like to hire.
So someone who has a work permit in Taiwan, would they be considered as a foreign employee or would they be considered as a?
You can also hire Taiwan employees.
They'll be considered as that.
Yes.
Oh, so what is the capital requirement if you want to hire foreign? Special requirement.
Because there are different situations, but other money for if the company is set up within 1 year, the minimum capital requirement is $5 million. $5 million.
Okay. For hiring one or
No limitation.
No
For the employee numbers.
For special permits, for example, we do medical devices, how much is fee are we talking about here?
Because medical devices, in medical devices, you want to know our fee for then we can discuss this in privately, okay?
I'll also be a part.
Yeah, because for medical devices, it has to be considered that you are a manufacturer or you are the sellers.
Could be more, yeah.
Yeah, because the capital requirements are also different and the procedures will also be more complicated. So our fee will be higher. But we have, because if you are a manufacturer, then maybe you will need a factory in Taiwan. Then we will also have to consider another question that if you need to build a factory in Taiwan or you just want to rent a factory in Taiwan, there will be separate applications should be applied. So that will also affect our service fee. So if you would like to know, then you can give me more details, and I can let you know our range of our service fee. So that is a great roadmap of running a business in Taiwan. So any other questions? Okay, so here is the major documentation for submitting the document to the authority, and I didn't list all the documents, I just listed the main documents that you will need to prepare. And you can see if I put a star here, it means that the document should be notarized in the local notary public. But for the corporate documents of a foreign company, you can see there is no authentication or notarization requirement. But if the officer thinks it is required when they review the submitted documents, then they still have the rights to ask the foreign company to prepare the document.
So in terms of application process time, is there difference between subsidiary and
Yes, there are some differences between a town company and the town branch.
which one?
Longer, town company will be longer because they have to go through the invest commission and the review process will be longer.
How much longer are we talking about?
Maybe 1 to 2 weeks more. If the investment level is not complicated, the investment commission doesn't suspect that you have Chinese people hiding behind your structure, then it will be more faster. But if the structure is more simple, then the time difference between the Taiwan company and the Taiwan branch may be 1 to 2 weeks.
1 to 2 weeks.
1 to 2 weeks. Yes.
That's part of learning work via digital signing or through the physical document.
So physical document.
Yeah, like on paper or could it be?
It should be a paper document with wet ink.
So it can be done digitally.
Currently, the government still is only accept physical hard copies.
So-
wet ink, the electronic signatures are still not accepted.
So if you want to do that remotely, then we need to send it by mail, right? Or even that is
We can send the documents through PDF file, and you can just print it out and sign and provide with a soft copy.
So scan of
Scan copies are okay. But if the document should be notarized, that will be original one. But the other document, so except for this one, the other one can be sent in hard copies, scan copies.
But in general, it's possible to open a company without visiting the site, right? We can do everything at once.
Yes, so you can just provide us with the scan copies, then we can submit the document to the authority.
if it's not a subsidiary.
It's
Not
not
only-
subsidiary, yeah. But it's subsidiary is still can do it remotely, you just have to send everything. Right. If it's subsidiary, we can still do it remotely,
Yes.
but we just have to send physical copies.
Only for a letter of appointment. The other documents, you can just send me these scan copies. But only the letter of appointment because it should be notarized by the notary public. So you have to send the original one to me. But for the other documents, scan copies are sufficient. Any other questions? Okay, so that's my introduction today. So if you have any questions, you can just send me, email, or call me. Or if you need any message from me, just let me know. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rebecca Benacci, and I'm a director at PPC Legal here in Taiwan. And today we're going to spend a little time talking about intellectual property protections here in Taiwan. We have pretty much similar sets of laws that govern intellectual properties here in Taiwan. So similar to a lot of most of the other countries. I think the introduction should be easier, I think. Alright. For today, we're going to split out the sections into 4 parts. The first one will be trademark, and the second one is patent. Third one is copyright, and the fourth one is trade secrets. Okay? And with regard to trade secrets, typically we come across these kind of questions, right? First, are trademarks registered outside Taiwan actually protected in Taiwan? Are they? No, they are not, okay? So if you already have operations outside of Taiwan and if you already have trademarks registered in different countries, don't expect that trademark is going to be protected here in Taiwan without being registered here, okay? There is no international trademark protection. So if you want the protection and if you intend to use the trademark here, make sure to register, okay? And how about registration? Here we talk about well-known trademarks, which we're going to go into a little bit more detail a bit later. And the third question is what can be registered as trademarks in Taiwan, which is similar to what are the subject matters that can be trademarked. Okay. And the next question would be, is it necessary that I use a mark before filing for registration? In some jurisdictions, it is required that you use the trademark before filing for registration. But here in Taiwan, it's a bit different. Okay. And what is the time frame for trademark protection in Taiwan? That will be the next issue that we're going to talk about. And how long is the process of trademark registration? And what needs to be done if to grant trademark license to others? And what happens when there is an infringement? Okay. So is registration required? Yes, in general, it is required, unless your trademark is a well-known trademark. What do I mean by well-known trademark? These are the list of items that the authority, the IP office here, considers when they determine whether it's a well-known trademark. And there's examples of well-known trademark. Are the trademarks of McDonald's, the trademarks of Apple computers, the trademarks of Adidas. Those are well-known trademarks. So basically, those marks need to be highly recognizable here in Taiwan by the people in Taiwan. Okay, if it's a brand that is not known to the market here, then it is unlikely to be considered as well-known trademarks. Okay? And if it's a well-known trademark, it can be protected even without registration here in Taiwan. So that's the exception here. Alright. So is it necessary that I use a mark before filing for registration? No. You just have to show the IP office here your intention to use the mark. And this kind of intention can be like use a trademark on one of your brochures or one of your business plans or something like that on your websites. That'll show your intention to use the trademark. That's sufficient. But after you register a trademark and you don't use it for 3 years, they're gonna cancel it. Okay. So if you want to register a trademark, make sure to continue to use it. Otherwise, you risk the possibility of being canceled. And what is the time frame for trademark protection in Taiwan? Basically, the initial period of protection is 10 years. Okay. And can be renewed? Yes, it can be renewed, so long as we pay. Okay. So every renewal is 10 years, and you have to make sure that you actually file for renewals within 6 months before expiration of the renewal term. Otherwise, does it mean that you can't renew anymore? You still can. You can still renew after within 6 months after the expiration, but you have to pay double. So that's kind of a penalty of some sort. Am I going a bit too fast? Okay. Alright, so what are the subject matters that can be trademarked? These are all the subjects. And recently, the government has also included smell as something that can be trademarked. Packaging, that is also something that can be trademarked. And sound. And with regard to smell and sound, the government is still trying to figure out how to determine, like how to trademark the two new things. But these are the old stuff, and the packaging is like a good example is the Tiffany box. That's trademarked. That packaging is trademarked. So, what are the grounds for refusal of trademark registration? This is a huge list, but the most important thing is you have to be distinctive. Okay, you have to be distinctive. Let me give you an example of non-distinctiveness. Let me use PwC's principle as an example. PwC Global has this policy so that each territory, when they produce, when they come up with a new product, their name has to be descriptive. It has to be descriptive. And PwC has its own logo, as I already know, right? And can you file for trademark if your name, if your product name is really descriptive? No, because it's not distinct under trademark law. So that's part of the PwC philosophy. Actually, you only have one trademark. And all the other products, they will be description of names, basically. And that is basically in contrary to what the requirement of trademark law. You have to be special, unique, and you cannot be like identical to the flag of Taiwan or flag of any country or anything like that. Those are pretty common sense, basically. Alright. So what needs to be done if to grant trademark license to others? A lot of times people try to refer to the law for guidance, but with regards to license, the only thing that's said in trademark law here in Taiwan is that if you grant exclusive license, you pretty much, or you actually grant the right to sub-license as well. So exclusive license doesn't mean that I only grant you the license, I also grant you the right to sub-license, unless it specifically says that you don't do that. Okay, so when you enter into a license agreement, you have to make sure that if you don't want the other side to get the right to sub-license to a third party, make sure you don't grant exclusive license. Otherwise, it comes with law, basically. And other than that, the law doesn't say much about licensing, so everything is based on the contract. Okay, so if, say, for example, if you decide to not to set up here in Taiwan, and you want to find a partner to work with here in Taiwan, and for whatever reason you might want to license your trademark for this Taiwan partner to use here in Taiwan, you have to make sure that the scope of the license, the nature of the license, the term of the license are very clear in the license agreement. Okay. Alright. Remedies for infringement. With regards to trademark infringement, Taiwan actually offers civil damages as well as criminal liabilities. Okay. They don't really offer, but they impose criminal liabilities. Okay. So if there is a civil lawsuit or when there is trademark infringement, the other one party infringes your trademark, you can sue here in Taiwan. But again, it has to be a Taiwan registered. And if you don't have any registration here in Taiwan, and you try to sue someone here for trademark infringement, for infringing your trademark being registered somewhere else, the court is unlikely to look at the case at all. And these are the damages. I'm not going to list that. I'm not going to go into detail with this. And criminal liabilities. This is rather unique because most of the places they have when they have trademark law, they don't impose criminal liabilities. But in Taiwan, because like decades ago, we had some problem with counterfeit products, so the government kind of ramped up the penalties to deter infringement. So you see this kind of criminal liabilities imposed on people that infringe trademarks. Alright. Let's talk a little bit about patents. Patents, I'm not going to go into detail as to how you apply a patent because that's the job of a patent engineer. Okay, so they do a better job than everyone else here. I just want to give you some idea. Here in Taiwan, we have 3 types of patents. One is invention patent, the other one is utility model, and the third one is design patent. Invention patent is the most difficult, of course, because you have to show that you have the novelty and industrial applicability, not obvious use. So it's difficult to get the invention patent. It takes longer for the office, the IP office here to grant the patent, but it also give you longer protection. It's 20 years here in Taiwan. And utility model patent, it only applies to objects. Invention patents, it applies to methods, purpose of use, and objects, including it used to be the case that business methods cannot be patented. But recently, they are thinking about allowing patents if the business methods is actually some kind of computer algorithm that might be able to get patented. So it's not restricted to simple objects. And let's go back to utility model patents. It's basically creation based on shapes, structure, or a combination that are valuable and of use. And what are the things that can be patented? Basically, anything. Like I don't know if you're drinking the coffee, right? The Thai. And in Taiwan, just a few years ago, the government decided to stop stores, or actually encourage stores not to give out straws, right? Not plastic straws. So, like more and more companies are trying to design new ways to figure out how the lid, the design of the lid, they can actually apply patents just for the change of design of the company. And so that can be considered as a utility model patents as well. And for design patents, only applies to objects. And it protects the shapes, patterns, colors, or the combination of any 2 or 3 of them. Cell phone designs, like Apple's cell phone designs, they can the shape. They actually apply for patents. There are patents in Taiwan and also American States. Yes.
Could you tell what is the purpose of use? How is the purpose of use patented? Could you give an example where the purpose of use is patented?
Oh, the purpose of use. I think that's something that's not yet clear as to how the government actually applies this part. Because when you say the computer programs, software, they are protected by copyright, right? But what do they not protect? They don't protect the purpose of the whole software. So the government is basically saying that for the purpose of the software, it may be able to get patented. Right? So that can be considered as an innovation of some sort. So even though the software itself, maybe how you write the code is protected by copyright, but the ultimate goal of this software, it can be patented. This is about the time period between filing and decision. So as I mentioned earlier, it takes a lot longer for the invention patent to get granted or denied, basically. Damages, patents, there is no criminal liability for invention. Not like trademark or anything else. The patent is only civil damages. So if there is patent infringement in Taiwan, you can always sue. Okay. And again, the patents need to be registered in Taiwan for you to properly file a lawsuit here in Taiwan. Otherwise, the court will again say they don't need the case.
What about PCTs?
I'm sorry?
What about PCTs?
PCB?
PCT.
PCB. Oh, the Paris Convention. Okay. Yes, we recognize that, and there is priority. The priority rights. The priority rights is actually taken into account. So you can always file patent through Paris Convention. That is because Taiwan, after joining the WTO, actually, it became part of the member or something. Yeah. The damages. In Taiwan, I don't know if you have ever heard about the triple damages in patent lawsuits in the United States. Here in Taiwan, you can actually get triple damages if you can prove that it is a willful infringement on the infringement. Alright. Copyright. You might be wondering, like, since most of you are like technology companies, why am I talking about copyright? But the reason that I mentioned copyright is that our computer programs, as I said earlier, is protected by copyright. Yeah, and how you write code, they are protected by copyright. And say, for example, if you are designing video games or any kind of games, the story behind it can be copyrighted. Okay. And the sound, the music behind it is also copyright protected, basically. So even though copyright seems in the past it's only related to literary work, but in fact it can also apply to the computer world, including the metaverse, which is still very controversial as to how trademarks and copyrights should be protected within the virtual world. Right. So the four main criteria for work to be protected by the copyright law here in Taiwan are basically product of human spirit wisdom. What exactly is that? You might be asking. If it's developed by machine, through machine learning, through artificial intelligence, can be it's not protected. Okay, it lacks human wisdom. Okay, it's popular stuff, and it has to be an expression. So that means copyright doesn't protect ideas. If the idea is in your head, it's not copyright protected. Okay, and it has to be independent creation. If you cannot copy someone else's work and then do something and get copyrighted, creativity and literary nature. With regards to copyright, the protection, you can get it without registration here in Taiwan. There's no need for copyright registration. Alright, remedies. Again, this is very long, but for copyright, there is also criminal penalties. Okay, it has civil damages and also criminal penalties. And the reason for that is because, in fact, in Taiwan, people tend to download random programs to use, right? And sometimes company representative or the chairperson of the company doesn't really have the time and energy to check everyone's computer, right? And in the past, it's not as difficult, it's not as easy to monitor the use of computers. So there were a lot of copyright infringement in the old days. And that is also why the government decided to impose imprisonment and criminal fine. And imprisonment, you can't really imprison, you can't put the company into jail, right? So the person in charge is the one responsible. So since they are being responsible, they tend to be more careful. Alright, finally, trade secret. Nowadays, a lot of the things like formulas and some know-hows, they are not exactly protected by patents, or people don't really want to apply for patents because if you want to file for patents, you have to disclose the technology behind it, and people don't want to do that, especially like companies in chemical industries where their formulas are very important, so they want to keep it secret. And that's why there is a trade secret law available here in Taiwan, and trade secret would consider it's part of intellectual property law covered here in Taiwan. And there are criteria to show, for a company to show that a certain piece of information is the trade secret of the company. You can't just say anything proprietary is my trade secret. You have to prove to the court if there is a dispute. You have to say that you have to show that you have tried to protect it. Okay? You have tried to protect it. And now you might be wondering, like, what does that mean? By signing an NDA, is that enough? Well, a lot of my clients think it's enough. Okay? We always ask employees to sign NDA, right? We also ask any partners to sign NDAs, but is that really enough? Not really, because there was actually a case that involves some representative in an exhibition just handing out information that is supposed that the company actually thinks is trade secret. Okay, and in the litigation, the court is asking, well, if you think this piece of information is confidential, how come you didn't indicate the confidential nature of the information in the exhibition, and you actually handed out? So even though all of your employees have signed NDAs, this piece of information is out. It's no longer your trade secret. Okay? It doesn't get the protection. Okay? Alright. So yeah, that part is very important. So basically, you have to have internal organization measure to make sure that you make a reasonable effort to keep the secrecy of the information you want to protect. Alright. Remedies in case of infringement. Again, there is civil damages and there is also criminal liability. And triple damages is also available in case there is a lawsuit for trade secret infringement. And there's also another thing that recently developed because of the special relationship between Taiwan and China. The Taiwan government is trying very hard to protect certain information. I don't know if you are familiar with the U.S. law. It's basically its trade secret law doesn't offer criminal liabilities. Okay, but it uses another thing called Economic Espionage Act to impose very serious criminal liabilities on companies that violate trade secret law. And Taiwan is trying to do pretty much the same thing. Okay, especially with regards to information flowing between Taiwan and China. Alright. I quickly went through quite a lot of stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to.
Could you just show the damages for patent?
Patent? Basically, first it calculates, it would try to, it would actually, the person, the patent owner needs to show, the difference between, like, without infringement, how much I can make, and with the infringement, how much you have made, and they try to, find out the difference between the profits and the loss. And if that cannot be proved, they will look at the profit earned by the infringer as a result of patent infringement. And if that doesn't work, then they will look at the amount calculated on the basis of reasonable royalties. So basically, you take my patent, you use my patent, I'll just treat it as I have licensing to you, and then you pay a licensing fee to me. So they would look either one of them to determine the proper fee.
And they will multiply with this like the way it is there in trademark.
I'm sorry?
In trademark, there was a triple amount of profit, right?
They also have triple damages. Even patents, yeah. For patents and trademark, they all have triple damages. Yeah. But it's only for work on them.
And in the previous slide, yes, the period of exclusivity for say utility patent here is 10 years. But a similar patent in the US would have a period of exclusivity of 20 years. So, how does that work? Does the can the utility patent from US be translated to a Taiwanese patent as a utility patent, or would it be invention patent or utility patent?
Well, it cannot be, as I said, there's no international IP law basically. So everything is territorial by territorial, right? So if you have utility model patents in the States, and you want to turn that into an invention patent to apply for an invention patent, it's also possible. So long as you can fulfill the requirements, the novelty and everything, it is doable.
Just to add one question to you. Supposing you have a US patent which is for 20 years.
Yeah.
And you have filed a PCT.
Yeah.
Does that mean the PCT will be applicable in Taiwan for 20 years?
So then your priority date will be considered as the date of origin.
From the patent date in US.
Yeah.
The PCT validity will be considered as 20 years because the original patent is valid for 20 years.
What do you mean? Do you mean that the 20 years from
the date of filing in USA?
For the beginning of filing in US? No, it's actually for Taiwan. It's actually the time from the publication. It's the 20 years or the any time frame. It actually starts from the time of publication in Taiwan.
So supposing I am not filing a patent in Taiwan.
Yeah.
But I have filed an international PCT.
Yeah.
And PCT is considered valid in Taiwan, right?
Yeah.
So based on that PCT, do I get protection in Taiwan for that duration of the patent?
Well, you still need to go through the Taiwan PTO. It's not automatic. Even though you have already filed through PCT, then it's again for PCT filing, you still need the local intellectual property office to approve the patents and to publish the patents. So the time frame should still be calculated from the time when this thing is published.
The time of exclusivity is considered from the date of publication in Taiwan or date of publication of the original work.
Yeah.
The protection date starts on the date of file or the date of publication?
I'm sorry?
The protection of the invention starts from the date of file patent or from the date the patent is published?
The protection it should start from the date of filing. Yeah, if it's granted, of course, if the patent is approved.
And is there any preferential treatment for startup patents compared to?
I'm sorry.
Like basically, in comparison, so basically in India,
Yeah.
the grant for the patent which supplied by startup is faster, and it also costs much lesser. So is there any preferential treatment in Taiwan as well?
For that, I'm not sure. I need to double check.
So that decision that you said here, that is not granted, right? This is not granted.
No, it can be granted or denied.
Okay.
Yeah. It's that it takes quite a while for the.
This is faster than my country.
Which country are you?
It's taking like years, like 3 or 4 years. Yeah, this is nothing.
We thought this was slow.
This is already excellent. Yeah. Right?
Really? Yeah, typically it's like no more than 20 years. I mean, 20 years. Yeah, this is very.
This is awesome.
Yeah. I think the patent office, I mean the IPO here, the intellectual property office here, is trying to be pretty efficient.
This is when I get the final number.
Really?
This is when I get
Okay.
Okay.
We'll have different expectations, I guess. Yeah, but it's I think the intellectual property office here is trying to do a better job nowadays because they are encouraging people.
TACC Plus.